answer is yes. Thank you. The question was about consumer choice and community choice when it comes to utility corporations. It's effectively reining in.
It would allow cities and counties to actually procure energy while still having the utilities deliver the energy. It would give them autonomy and control.
Okay.
Can't hear me, sorry. Yeah.
Next question. We'll tell. It's on your list.
Go to the table with the green poster.
Are there any bills being introduced that are attacking public lands?
Any bills that are introduced that are attacking public land? Not that I can think of right off the top of my head. Although there is a bill we're going to be hearing in about an hour today that doesn't attack public land per se, but it reinforces the right of a landowner, their property rights, or sort of makes them sacrosanct and prohibits a municipality from regulating that land in any way. So not quite a public land, but what we are seeing is certainly a trend against regulation, a trend against preservation, a trend against conservation on both public and private lands. Of course.
Any students with questions? Oh, okay, over there.
Hi, I am Jim from college at Flagstaff High School. I'm wondering, what are the biggest obstacles to creating legislation that actually changes things, and what people like us can't vote and can't be involved in lobbying in person due to others?
So the question was, what is the biggest obstacle to introducing and actually passing legislation that's going to make a change? That's a terrific question. Thank you for asking that question. I think, frankly, it's who's in charge of this House and who's in charge of the Senate. And I think the fact is that you have got a Republican Party that is hyper concerned with their donors. And that is more concerned with protecting private profits than protecting public lands. And so I think the most important thing, frankly, is to ensure that Democrats have a governing majority. We've got the governor's office, but we're very close to flipping the House and flipping the Senate. And I think the most important thing you can do is continue to talk to the people in your community, continue to organize, spread the word about why this issue is so important, why this climate crisis that we're facing is so important, so you can motivate people to care about this issue. Because I think too often people sort of, it feels too big, this issue, or it feels insurmountable or intractable, or it feels like it doesn't really affect your life, and it does. And I think if you can continue to do that work of educating people in your community, that's probably the most important thing you can continue to do.
Go with the youth. Woo!
Any other questions? Oh, right there.
Is there anything we could do at the state level to either restrict or just completely get rid of other mining companies or things like that, such as Resolution Copper, from entering Arizona at the state level?
At the state level, I believe the answer is yes. I think the state legislature has the power to outright ban new mining, right? We can do that, and we can write that legislation. The problem is passing it, which gets to the previous point, but the answer is yes. Like, the things that are possible when we take power, the things that are possible when we gain the majority are huge. So what I encourage you to do is to think big. Don't think small. Think huge. Because the possibilities are endless once we take the podium, once we take the gavel, right? And they need to be. Our ideas need to be massive. Our ideas need to be huge. We are running out of time. We are running out of time. And so we need to act urgently, and we need big, bold ideas like that. And I want to introduce here my colleague, Senator Mendez, who sits on the Senate side, and my other colleague, Senator Teran, who's coming up here. So I want to give them both some time to shine.
This the time.
trying to introduce an amendment for environmental. So, what does that amendment entail?
It's the same bill, right? Yeah.
Thank you. So Senator Juan Mendez, District 8. So it's like 3 lines, but all it essentially does is guarantee us clean water, clean air, and healthy lands. And so if we put it into the Constitution, the goal is that we will then have the framework to start proactively going against a lot of the environmental actions.
How exactly do you do that, though?
It would have to go to the voters. So it would be a constitutional amendment that we put on the ballot that we didn't need all your guys' okay on to just put that into writing. Because, I mean, everybody assumes that we're supposed to be taking care of the environment, but it's not written down anywhere.
But isn't that statement really vague?
Well, but I mean, it's a concentrated effort that's happening all across the country. So we've had lots of lawyers look at the language, and from what we've seen, that some states have passed this and have been able to take certain actions. That, I guess, vague language is what we need to make sure that we're protecting everything. The same way that you have a guaranteed right to vote, the same way that you have a guaranteed, certain guarantees in the Constitution, we're just trying to put those guarantees for clean water.
Go ahead, Rachel.
Hi. So for someone who can't vote, how is that going to help? Like, how am I going to help do that? I can't vote because I'm too young. But also, isn't that going to take an insanely long amount of time? And in that time, the planet's going to progressively get worse.
Yes, we do not, like he was saying, we don't have a lot of time, but we have a legislature that's our biggest hurdle. And so until we can elect enough legislators to change who's in charge, we'll probably have to go through the voters. And you can help us in organizing voters and helping us organizing volunteers to make sure that we get this language on the ballot or in the Constitution. So, I mean, we have lots of ideas that could help us right now, but we can't even get them on the agenda. So this is our effort the idea is to put it in front of you so we could bypass the legislature.
Did you want to add to that, Senator?
Well, hi everybody, Raquel Teran from Legislative District 26 in Phoenix and Glendale, and I'm just so happy that all of you are here today to advocate for our environment, to make sure that we are continue to sound the alarm of the climate crisis we're living in. So thank you for being here. I will just add to what Senator Mendez said. If you're not 18, if you cannot vote, yes, knock on doors. Join us at the doors. Join us registering people to vote. And the election cycle that just passed, we saw tremendous victories. And those victories came as a result of 12 years plus of building infrastructure. So we need to continue to build on what we have done. We cannot let the minimum be the maximum. I do want to give a shout out to all the organizations who have been doing the work in building that infrastructure, like Chispa, the Sierra Club, and so many others that are here today that are part of the coalition because we cannot do this alone. So the environmental groups that are here today, I know are working intentionally with organizations that are working with Latinos, Black, Indigenous communities, working with organizations that are focused on women reproductive rights, because at the end of the day, our issues intersect and we need to build political power to pass all our progressive agenda. But environmental justice is key to ensuring that we are here for the long run. So we're going to need everybody, and it doesn't just stop in an election cycle. It needs to be continued here at our state legislature, like you're doing here today, sounding the alarm. It is a moment for us to call this what it is. It is a crisis.
Representative, it was great meeting with you earlier today, and a question that our group asked you guys to hear from you about, but it might be helpful for a lot of folks to hear your message and other messages as well, is how can we support you and the bills that you want to see pushed forward? How can we show up in the near future or events that we should look out to support?
Thank you. Of course. So just a little bit of procedural history and how things move here. The main thing is to get a bill on the agenda, the chairman of that committee or chairwoman needs to put that bill before the committee, and they have complete and total power to put any bill that they want. So our bills right now, because they're Republicans, they're just tossing them in the trash. But what you can do, and particularly if you live in that chairperson's district, is you need to pressure the hell out of them. You need to blow up their phones, blow up their emails, and show them that the people of the state of Arizona are clamoring for change. We are not asking for it, we are demanding it. And it is their responsibility as public officials to put those bills before those committees and pass them. We have the power to do that. We are the sovereigns. We, the people, run this government, not the politicians, and certainly not the corporate lobbyists.
One thing I would want to add is, so, I mean, it sounds, I'm going to ask you to do a lot more work, right? But you know how we have campaigns to get ourselves elected to office? It's so bad here when he's talking about how they have total control over the entire agenda. We essentially need to have campaigns for our individual bills, right? So all the work you're putting into getting us elected, we have to start over again and put all the work into just, we can pick one or two of our bills and just make a huge campaign, right? We need to, at the state level, we still don't even have a simple campaign, climate action plan, right? So we're not coordinated at state level. It's a simple ask, but it's going to need us, we're going to have to create a campaign to educate everybody about why they need that. And you know, I mean campaign, we need to start going out and, you know, not just canvassing in certain districts, but finding the voters that these Republicans are going to listen to, right? Because sometimes they only listen to people who come from their districts, who share their background. And, you know, some of us can't even get meetings with some of these legislators that are key legislators. So we have to have a real campaign to make sure, you know, another one of our bills that we have that's on both sides, it's Sierra Club priority, is the idea that, you know, all the environmental harm that we're doing is a lot of it's racist. We're not really careful about where we're putting our garbage, about who's getting certain facilities in their neighborhoods. So that's another one, that an easy campaign where we could create a public message that's showing, or that shows how people are being mistreated, and communicate that to the down here at the legislature. Because I love this environmental day, and you know, I learn a lot from what the priorities that you guys want us to be focused on, and we share what our priorities are. But that's just one step, and it doesn't go far enough, right? So the next step is making campaigns for these ideas.
Sandy, are we going to the floor? Is everybody going to the floor? And will we have an opportunity to recognize participant from the floor? Oh, okay. Well, thank you for organizing this event today, for being here again. This is our house. This is our Senate. We serve you all, everybody, Republican, Democrat. We serve the people of the state of Arizona, and we cannot forget that. So take over the Capitol and enjoy and make it heard, make your voices heard. I'm going to go back to the floor. I know I'm dragging Senator members with me, and I know Representative Oscar de los Santos as well. Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate you coming out here. We know it's a really busy day and lots going on, so they have to head to the floor. I'm going to put this back in the stand so I can hopefully avoid those loud noises that are so bad. I think the key is to keep the microphone away from the speaker. Anyway, next up, next up on our agenda, if I can find it, is Neilani Spitzel and Lainey Vidal Diaz. They are Westwood High School, with the Westwood High School Environmental Club, and their talk is called Our Future Depends on You. So come on up. Can you hear it? Yeah. Okay. We wrote a piece. Go say it.
Well, okay, we wrote a piece called "Are You Angry?"
Sorry. Are you angry when we live in a society that was built to benefit wealthy white people at the expense of low-income marginalized communities? When there's a blatant unequal distribution of environmental resources and hazards? When policies are passed to work against their well-being? When we've left the burdens of pollution, natural disaster, and poison resources to hit them harder?
Are you angry that our government is actively placing lower income people of color in areas that will harm their health and well-being, leaving a community whose voices are often ignored to suffer in silence?
Yes, angry.
Are you angry when such a large number of black and brown children fall victim to living in areas with excessive pollution because they live in areas labeled as undesirable and therefore unimportant? When black and brown children are set up for failure to have to fight to survive? We recently had a speaker come to our school and talk about his personal experiences, about his book. Dr. Fred Warren shared the story of Carver High School. Carver High School was a legally segregated high school in Phoenix. It was a predominantly black high school that was built on top of a 4-acre landfill surrounded by warehouses. It was labeled as adequate for black people.
Are you angry when people don't have access to clean water? I have family in Mexico, uncles and aunts, who on the day-to-day don't have access to clean water, all because of over-exploitation and pollution. This issue isn't specific to Mexico. Thousands in Arizona don't have access to running water, and even more are exposed to contaminated ones.
Are you angry when indigenous people constantly experience violations by oil, gas, mining, and energy corporations, causing damage to their traditional territories and soil? When they're exploited for these resources and still have to fight for access to them? When they're sometimes left without energy or clean water?
Are you angry when we don't have enough sustainable infrastructure, when our cities are getting hotter, and yet we continue to build anti-homeless architecture, taking away their shade and benches to keep undesirable people from public areas, when we try to fix problems with hostility?
So angry.
These communities are getting hit first and harder, but they aren't the only groups being affected. Climate change is going to hit all of us. Every single one of our lives will be changed and continue to change, and we've reached the point that we can't wait any longer. A time will come when we run out of water and our communities can no longer be restored. There are so many opportunities for us to help. We just have to take them.
We can't change the past, but we can turn our anger into action. We can use it as a catalyst for change. To legislative officers, pass laws for those who need you to fight for them the most. Soon we will be the ones voting, and our generation is angry in solidarity. If we don't see your anger turn to action in our legislative house, we will vote you out. Despite our political parties, we know that climate change is a bipartisan issue and holds an existential threat to our future. We are focused on change, and we will vote for a sustainable future for Arizona. We will be the ones in this legislative body making choices, and we will not back down.
All right, and to voters, continue to fight. Join arms with us and help fight for our environment. Vote for those who represent the unheard voices that are often forgotten. Thank you.
All right. Well, what a great set of speakers we've had today. And now is where things get a little more fluid, although I guess things were kind of fluid all day today. We do go with the flow. So next up, we're going to allow each of the organizations that is participating to have like 1 minute with the mic to tell you what they're doing and make a plea for your help. I know some people are also interested in going inside. They are on the floor in the House and Senate. You're not allowed to go to the floor, but you can go up into the 3rd floor gallery and view them on the floor. If you do that, maybe let me know, and I can ask one of the legislators to introduce you from the floor. And then I hope as many people as possible will come back at 2 for the news conference that CHISPA is hosting on the Trees for Kids bill. It's a really great bill, a great program, and if you can come back for that, that would be great. But next up, we'll go ahead and have the organizations come, and it looks like, well, I don't want to start with Sierra Club over here. Julie, do you want to come up and say anything for NARAL? No, she's not listening. How about Linda, come up and talk about Where's the River? We'll start with that. She's very anxious, so.
Thank you so much, Sandy. Thanks everybody for showing up today. It's good to see all these activists coming together. So in the spirit of activism, I had this crazy idea that we should all come together and go out to the river and have a little party, actually a little protest party, because the part of the river we're going to, there's not a drop of water there, and there hasn't been probably for 100 years. So I'd like to draw attention to the fact that we are dewatering our rivers and streams in Arizona systematically, mostly for profit, and it's completely legal. So our regulatory setup for surface water encourages our water, our river water, to be put to a beneficial use, and consequently we are drying up our rivers little bit by little bit. We've lost 1,700 miles of flowing rivers, and I think it's time we party down by the river and point this out to some folks. So I'm with the Sustainable Water Network. We've got a table over there. You can grab a flyer. This event is March 14th, 3 to 6 p.m. And I'm encouraging people to bring an inner tube or an umbrella or a picnic basket. We're going to have a treasure hunt, some speakers, community, and just kind of raise a little bit of hell in a fun way, a humorous way. So hope to see you there. Thanks so much.
No water there, eh?
Okay, next we have Lobos of the Southwest, Roz Switzer, and Great Old Broads for Wilderness with Emily Montier.
Hi, I'm Roz Switzer, and I'm representing Lobos of the Southwest. And we are a coalition of organizations that works towards recovery of the Mexican gray wolf. And we're working towards getting 3 populations of Mexican gray wolves in the United States. We have one below I-40, and we need one in the Grand Canyon region, and we need one in the Southern Rockies. And there's also a population in Mexico that needs connectivity across the border. So feel free to go to the Lobos of the Southwest website, MexicanWolves.org, to see how you can help out, and stop by our booth.
Yeah, our booth is the Great Old Broads for Wilderness, and Roz and I are co-leaders here in the central part of the state, which encompasses pretty far to the east and all of the area around Phoenix too. And we're particularly interested in protecting public lands, keeping it in public hands. That's part of our motto. And so we'll be doing all sorts of different projects, from meeting or writing letters to our legislators, letters to the editor about the issues concerning our public lands. We deal with the border as well. Sometimes we'll even go down there. We have a chapter in Tucson, but even those of us from up here will go down there sometimes. As Roz mentioned, there's this campaign for wildlife connectivity through gaps in the wall. We want to keep that way. So And water. Water is a big issue for us. Just exactly what the senators were talking about earlier. We're all for the management of groundwater and the trying to de-escalate the irrigation areas and in development where there really isn't enough water. So anyway, if you're interested, look up greatoldbroadsforwilderness.org.
Hi, I'm Melanie Bikeman. Can you hear me?
No, not too well. There you go.
I'm Melanie Bikeman with Arizona Interfaith Power and Light. We are faith response to the climate crisis. And if you've talked to Doug Bland about Reverend Doug Bland about us, you know that Arizona Interfaith Power and Light kind of sounds like a utility, but unlike a utility, we don't have dark money. But we do have spiritual. We do bring spiritual and moral energy to address the climate crisis. We work with green teams, or we call them SAGE teams, at various congregations around Arizona. If you attend a congregation that would like to get involved in creation care or a green team, feel free to let me know. We also have a program called Sacred Earth Common Ground. It's a story circle program where we bring 3 disparate groups, usually congregations, together to tell stories about a time when they felt that they were standing on sacred ground, that they were close to the sacred in the wilderness. Or what we do say about that is that the closest distance between 2 people is a story. And we believe that bringing those groups together over story circles is a great way to connect people. So if you'd like to hear more about what we do, or if you'd like to sign a petition about methane for the EPA, you can come to our table in the back. Arizona Interfaith Power and Light. I'm not sure who's next. Okay, so stay tuned.
Sandy said I could.
Hello, can you hear me? Yes. So my name is Shelley Gordon, and I am the State Director of Arizonans for Community Choice. And we are a statewide organization that's trying to get legislation introduced, let alone passed, that would study community choice energy. So let me ask you a question. What would it be like if you could only shop at one supermarket, one clothing store, buy one kind of toothpaste, buy, throw out another example, one kind of dog food? It's unimaginable. And yet, 150 years after the formation of investor-owned utilities, we have one choice of utilities. We have no choice unless we want to spend $30,000 to put solar panels on our rooftop, or take out a 20-year lease or whatever, 30-year lease to do that. The majority of people are not going to do that. What we're trying to do, and what we're saying, is allow cities and counties to procure energy but still have the utilities like APS and Tucson Electric Power and Salt River Project. Still, they own the poles and wires, they still deliver that energy, they still manage the grid, handle power outages, do the billing, they still do all that stuff. All we're saying is, we, the city of Phoenix, we, the city of Tempe, we, the city of Mesa, etc., we would like to have control over what kind of energy we're going to buy that we're going to then export to your grid, Mr. Utility. So what we're asking is, we have a bill, it's HB 2405 and SB 1522, which is being sponsored by Senator Sundaration. Thank you, Senator Sundaration. We want to study whether we could save ratepayers money with community choice energy and increase renewable energy. But we're not even going to say that in this environment because people get nervous when they hear renewable energy, but we want to find out if we can actually save ratepayers money. So that's what the bills are about. They're very, they're very benign. They're not going to hurt anybody's pocketbook. They're it's just a study. So what has to happen now is they have to get on the agenda of the Natural Resources, Energy and Water Committee. And that's where all environmental and climate and all those bills are heard. And we have some pretty strong gatekeepers in each of those committees. That is making it difficult. But that's what has to happen. It has to go through those two people to get on the agenda. So that's what we're working on. So does anyone have any questions? Does it make sense what I said? Okay. And we have a table over there. We have information sheets. We have a sign-up sheet if you want to learn more. So thank you.
Reproductive choice, energy choice, choice.
I guess that's it.
We can do it.
They didn't have tables. It was not anybody. No, she didn't. The people who are the partners here that have the tables.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hazel Chandler. I represent several groups, Moms Clean Air Force, and which, you know, I'm on with consultant with Moms Clean Air Force. I also am on the national board and active with Elders Climate Action. And then I run the Arizona Climate Action Coalition, which is people from all over our state that want to come together and find ways to unify our voices. Let's start with moms. Moms Clean Air Force is about 1.5 million moms, dads, grandmas, grandpas, aunts, uncles, interested people that have organized across our country to make our voices heard, that our kids deserve a livable future. Elders Climate Action kind of has the same approach, but it's people that are over 50, you know, that want to make sure that our grandchildren and generations have a livable future. And then the coalition is to bring unified voices together, and they all really work together. The way we make change is we come together from all of our organizations, all of them you see here, and many, many more, and mobilize the troops to be there to act on whatever the latest thing that needs to be acted on. Right now, we are starting to get people to testify and sign petitions and write testimony to the EPA on a new SIT regulations. Every single day our lungs are being damaged and our children's lungs are being damaged because of soot, which is the very tiny microscopic particles that get down into our lungs and into our bloodstream. There is no amount of soot that's okay. It's like lead. It collects in our body. It causes problems in our children. It can cause all kinds of things, even lack of ability to learn, ADHD. It can cause depression and mental health issues, asthma, respiratory issues, heart disease, diabetes, you name it, it's a cause. Right now, with the SIT rules as they are, over 100,000, possibly as many as 300,000 people die prematurely because of the damage that it does on our bodies. With the new SIT rules, that will cut that significantly, but what was introduced was really disappointing, and we could prevent by encouraging the EPA to get even more strict. We could prevent 20,000 additional deaths every year. So this is a really important issue. I hope you will get involved. People can testify before the EPA via Zoom, which is really fun. Those hearings are on the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd and see me if you're interested in signing up. And then we'll have until the 28th of March to make our voices heard. So let's all work together. It's so exciting to see everybody here, and so many friendly faces. We've not been able to be in public as much, and I just love seeing all of you and reconnecting. Thank you.
Question. For the removal of toxic microscopic particles, what code name does the bill fall under?
What code name?
For the bill, what code name does
It isn't a bill, actually. It's at the federal level, and it's the EPA. If you'll come back to my table, I can give you more information, because we need your young voices.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we need your young voices, and we also we have had off and on the youth really involved with a coalition, but right now we don't have the youth voices, and we really want to reach out, and hopefully we can get those youth voices, because when we stand side by side across generations, across faiths, and across cultures, we get things done. We are powerful beyond measure. And this is the way we can change the world, so these kids will have a really bright, livable future. I've had somebody say, well, you got to keep yourself healthy. As you know, I'm moving kind of slowly. And I said, well, I can't leave this earth until these kids are taken care of, so I'll be around for a while. And I think that all of us need to make sure we take care of these kids and that they have a great future.